Adventure of a Poet by Robert Fuller Murray. As I was walking down the street a week ago, near Henderson's, I chanced to meet a man I know. His name is Alexander Bell, his home, Dundee. I do not know him quite so well as he knows me. He gave my hand a hearty shake, discussed the weather, and then proposed that we should take a stroll together. Down College Street we took our way, and there we met the beautiful Miss Mary Gray, that arch coquette, who stole last spring my heart away and has it yet. That smile with which my beau she greets, would it were fonder, or else less fond, since she its sweets on all must squander. Thus, when I meet her in the streets, I sadly ponder, and after her, as she retreats, my thoughts will wander. And so I listened with an air of inattention, while Bell described a folding chair of his invention. And when we reached the Swilkenburn, "It looks like rain," said I, "and we had better turn." 'Twas all in vain, for Bell was weatherwise, and knew the signs aerial. He bade me note the strip of blue above the Imperial, also another patch of sky, southwest by south, which meant that we might journey dry to Eden's mouth. He was a man with information on many topics. He talked about the exploration of poles and tropics, the scene in Parliament last night, Sir William's letter, and do you like the electric light, or gas lamps better? The strike among the dust heap pickers, he said, was over, and had I read about the liquors just seized at Dover? Or the unhappy printer lad at Rothesay drowned? Or the Italian ironclad that ran aground? He told me stories, lately come, of good society, some slightly tinged with truth, and some with impropriety. He spoke of dueling in France, then lightly glanced at Mrs. Mackenzie's monster dance, which he had danced at, so he ran on, till by and by a silence came, for which I greatly fear that I was most to blame. Then neither of us spoke a word for quite a minute, when presently a thought occurred with promise in it. "How did you like the Shakespeare play the students read?" By this, the Eden like a bay before us spread. Near Eden many softer plots of sand there be. Our feet, like Pharaoh's chariots, drave heavily. An ere an answer I could frame. He said that Irving of his extraordinary fame was undeserving, and for his part he thought more highly of Ellen Terry, although he knew a girl named Riley at Broughty Ferry, who might be, if she only chose, as great a star. She had a part in the tableaux at the bazaar. If I had said but little yet, I now said less, and smoked a home-made cigarette in mute distress. The smoke into his face was blown by the wind's action, and this afforded me, I own, some satisfaction. But still his tongue received no check till, coming home, we stood beside the ancient wreck and watched the foam wash in among the timbers, now sunk deep in sand, though I can well remember how I used to stand on windy days and hold my hat, and idly turn to read Lovies, Frederiksted, upon her stern. Her stern long since was buried quite, and soon no trace the absorbing sand will leave in sight to mark her place. This reverie was not permitted to last too long. Bell's mind had left the stage, and flitted to fields of song. And now he spoke of Marmion and Lewis Morris. The former he at school had done, along with Horace. His maiden aunts, no longer young, but learned ladies, had lately sent him songs unsung, epic of Hades, Geisha, and Gwen. He thought them fine. Not like that Browning, of whom he would not read a line, he told me, frowning, talking of Horace. Very clever, beyond a doubt, but what the satires meant, he never yet could make out. I said I relished satire 9 of the first book, but he had skipped to the divine Eliza Cook. He took occasion to declare, in tones devoted, how much he loved her old armchair, which now he quoted, and other poets he reviewed, some 2 or 3, till, having touched on Thomas Hood, he turned to me. "Have you been stringing any rhymes of late?" he said. I could not lie, but several times I shook my head. The last straw to the earth will bow the o'erloaded camel, and surely I resembled now that ill-used mammal. See how a thankless world regards the gifted choir of minstrels, singers, poets, bards, who sweep the lyre. This is the recompense we meet in our vocation. We bear the burden and the heat of inspiration, the beauties of the earth we sing in glowing numbers, and to the reading public bring post-prandial slumbers. We save from Mammon's gross dominion these sordid times. And all this, in the world's opinion, is stringing rhymes. It is as if a man should say, in accents mild, "Have you been stringing beads today, my gentle child?" Yet even children fond of singing will pay off scores, and I today at least am stringing not beads but bores. And now the sands were left behind, the clubhouse past. I wondered, can I hope to find escape at last? Or must I take him home to tea, and bear his chatter until the last train to Dundee shall solve the matter? But while I shuddered at the thought and planned resistance, my conquering Alexander caught sight in the distance of two young ladies, one of whom is his ambition. And so, with somewhat heightened bloom, he asked permission to say good-bye to me and follow. I freely gave it, and wished him all success. Apollo sic me servavit,